Hello. So today I'd like to talk about generosity as one of the things that I consider to be a heart quality, a quality of the heart. And in Sanskrit, the word for generosity is dana, D-A-N-A, dana. And in Buddhism, dana is regarded as an essential spiritual practice on the path to awakening. In other words, it's something that we need to practice if we want to wake up and become liberated. But in everyday life, at least in mine, our minds are often clouded by our own wants and desires and greed. And that often stands in the way of generosity. And then, of course, we sometimes feel that we don't have enough, or there's a sense of scarcity, and that prevents us from being generous because we feel that we don't have enough to offer something to others. Generosity is a powerful antidote to these unwholesome states of mind, scarcity, the feeling of not having enough, as well as greed and clinging to what we have. And so because generosity is such a powerful way of working with these feelings, generosity benefits not only the receiver of our generosity, our gifts, but also the giver. So when we practice generosity, we are benefiting ourselves. And because the benefits of generosity are so immense, it's regarded not only as an essential spiritual practice in Buddhism, but also as one of the 10 perfections or paramis. And it's also one of the 3 types of wise action that were taught by the Buddha, along with ethical behavior and meditation. Now, the Buddha wasn't opposed to lay people acquiring wealth for their financial security, so long as it was done in a morally justified way. Indeed, he considered the accumulation of wealth to be a skillful source of happiness, but he didn't consider it to be an end in itself, because the other part is generosity. And the Buddha taught that the value of our wealth lies in the uses that we put it to. He likened a person who enjoys wealth but and doesn't share it with others as someone who was digging his own grave. The Buddha also compared a stingy or mean person with someone with only one eye. And the person who earned his wealth wisely and gives to the needy, he regarded as a person with 2 eyes. So let's look at some of the gifts of generosity by doing a short practice. Let's consider the benefits of generosity to the giver. And I invite you to do this short practice. So you might start by just gently closing your eyes and dropping into an awareness of the present moment. Just gently relaxing your body as best you can. Just turning your attention inward. And now, remembering a time when you were generous. It could be a time when you gave someone a physical gift or some money, or it could be a time when you gave freely of your time and energy or were kind to someone. Just imagining a time when you were generous towards others. And whatever it is, let it be a time when you felt generous and gave freely without holding back or expecting anything in return. An unconditional gift. And now, as you sense into this experience of your own generosity, what thoughts and feelings arise as you remember this time? What emotions are present? How does generosity feel in your body? Noticing how it feels to be generous. And what thoughts and emotions are associated with those feelings? Okay, you can open your eyes now, if you like. In general, generosity makes us feel good about ourselves. It comes with warm, open feelings, because by letting go of our own needs and wants and desires and tuning into someone else, it opens and warms our hearts and leaves a feeling of spaciousness and freedom. So practicing generosity is a way to experience happiness. It's not really about being regarded as a good person or being appreciated or admired by others. At a much more basic level, it's simply a way to feel joyful and happy. And who doesn't want that? There are two ways that we can think about generosity, I think. One is as a spontaneous and natural expression of an open mind and an open heart, when we just connect wholeheartedly with others and with the world. It's not a matter of deciding to give something. The giving simply flows out of us. So this type of kind of spontaneous generosity can be seen with the generosity of a parent for their child, or the generosity of someone towards their best friend who's in need of something. You don't think about it. There's just this spontaneous uprising of generosity, and we naturally give to the other person. So that's one way of understanding it, as a kind of spontaneous arising. A second way of understanding generosity is as an intentional practice that we can do even if we don't feel like being generous. And as a practice, generosity is not done simply because we think it's a virtuous thing to do. We do it because it has important benefits for us as the giver. First of all, like gratitude, generosity connects us with other people and with ourselves. It creates a relationship between the giver and the receiver. So acts of generosity help us to learn more about the nature of our relationships. Generosity also strengthens existing relationships. When we practice generosity together with meditation, it helps to ensure that our spiritual practice is not remote or separate from others, but is based on thinking about others and what their needs might be or what they might like. Second, through the practice of generosity, we can begin to understand where our hearts are closed, where we're holding back, where we feel a fear of scarcity. In other words, we can learn, by cultivating generosity, we can learn what keeps us, what holds us back from being generous. We take on the practice of generosity to see where we resist it. And as an intentional practice, there are many ways that we can practice generosity, many techniques that we can use. For example, you could, at the beginning of the week, you could say to yourself that you're going to give away a $20 bill to someone you don't know by the end of the week. And then just watch what happens in your mind during that week. What does this intention to give away $20, what does it bring up for you? How do you react? What do you learn for yourself in that situation where you know you're going to give away $20 by the end of the week? Very interesting exercise. Teacher Jack Cornfield offers a practice of acting on every impulse that we have to give, no matter what, for a limited time period, say 24 hours. Whenever you feel motivated to give something within 24 hours, go ahead and give it. Or if that seems too much, you could set an intention to perform one or more acts of generosity in each day for, say, a week or two. But it's important to remember that generosity is not limited to giving material things or our wealth. We can also be generous with our time and with our skills. We can be generous with our attention and our kindness. These forms of generosity are clearly not related to wealth or material possessions. It can be as simple as smiling at someone or extending ourselves to really listen to someone in distress. We can also give the gift of fearlessness, a quality that I think matures in our spiritual practice. As we increasingly become rooted in wise action and wise speech and discerning what's wise, others will have less and less reason to fear us or draw back from us or feel they need to protect themselves from us or feel unsafe. In a world that's filled with so much fear, the gift of fearlessness is really significant, I think. One description of an enlightened being is someone who helps to dispel other people's fear. Now, Buddhist teachings emphasize that the manner in which we give the gift is as important as what we actually give. We should always give with respect and with happiness and joy. When we're practicing generosity and it doesn't bring us, as the giver, happiness and joy, we should look at our motives for giving and perhaps reevaluate whether to give at all, because there may be some holding back, some clinging. But intentionally practicing generosity can free us from forms of clinging, because it's the most obvious antidote to clinging is letting go. If we cling, then the best way to respond to that is to let go of clinging. Because giving involves letting go, always, it develops our capacity to relinquish attachment, grasping at things. However, the practice of giving, the practice of generosity entails a lot more than just letting go, in my experience, because it also develops the qualities of the heart, such as kindness, compassion, and warmth. In this way, generosity is really at the heart of Buddhist practice. By helping us to let go of clinging and attachment, and by opening our hearts, generosity can lead us to freedom, joy, and awakening. Every form of giving is a blessing that reminds us that we're not separate from each other, but we're held together in this vast web of life. It also reminds us of the basic human goodness that lies inside us. I'd like to end with a few words from the Buddha about generosity. And this is what he says. Some provide from the little they have. Others who are affluent don't like to give. An offering given from what little one has is worth 1,000 times its value. So may these words be of benefit to you. Thank you.